Hello.
How are you
today?
Good.
Just give me 1 minute. Let me put these names down. Who's Dominic MTZ?
Dominic in Camden.
Oh, Dominic. Okay, I see Dominic. Okay, good. I see it. I see. Okay, who else? Sir, that's Sir. Okay. All right. Let us begin tonight's work. Let me share my screen with you. Now we're looking at business ethics. Can you see the screen? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now, whenever we say ethics, we are referring to morality. Anything that has to do with moral principles or moral guidelines that governs our behavior. So, morals, that's the simplest way of explaining ethics. So ethics involve any distinguishing between the right and wrong actions. So things like fairness, just, and respectful to others. So ethics can be influenced by cultural, religious, philosophical, and societal norms. And also it plays a very important role in shaping our personal character and our function in society. Now, however, we are looking at business ethics. It still means the same thing, has to do with morals. So those principles, moral values that guide the behavior of individuals or organizations in the world. So things like ethical dilemmas, issues that arise in the context of business practices, interaction with shareholders, customers, and so on and so forth. So ethics is really good for business because customers always reward a company that they believe, that they trust. Either the company sell genuine product or good products, or the company is a good corporate citizen, participate in the society through sponsoring of events, things like scholarships, and so on and so forth. So for business ethics is essential for building trust, maintaining reputation, and ensuring long-term sustainability for companies. So and also a company that customers feel that it is ethical, they always reward it through through enhanced I would say customer loyalty to that company, and then improve relation with investors and also other stakeholders. So I remember the time when I started teaching the first time, there was this group of students that I encountered in my class. Some of them say that they don't buy from Walmart. I forgot the reason they gave me that time. Probably because there are some, many things that are sold in Walmart especially the clothes and wares, are not made in America here. They're made in other countries where what is considered child labor here is not considered child labor in those countries. And this student feel that Walmart participates in child labor in other countries by paying the companies or buying from companies that use child labor. And because of that, they just don't go to Walmart. Now, but there are also a group of students who doesn't really care. All they know that Walmart have things that they need at affordable price, and that you cannot stop all the evils in the world, So Walmart cannot, even if there's a child labor there, Walmart cannot, is in a difficult position because they cannot stop, they will not be able to stop the child labor going on in that country. And if they decide to confront the government of those countries against something that they don't believe is child labor, that company can, that country might decide to eject Walmart from their domain. Give me 1 minute. So we have both for against. Give me 1 minute. Let me take this message because it's urgent. Okay. So okay, good. All right. So there was this I remember the time, and I don't know if they still do it now, where there was this big crusade going on in America. Discouraging people from buying diamond rings, diamond watch, diamond necklace from stores that are not certified. That when they say certified, they were saying that in that time, I think it's Congo. There's a country in Africa that is called Congo. There is a big war going on in Congo, and the war. Some of the warriors where they get their money to buy weapons is by mining the diamond in the country. To mine the diamond and use to buy weapons to fight. And of course, the fight is not always like civilized fighting, like fighting military. Sometimes they go beyond that, like savages, so raping women and children, destroying families who are not even directly involved in the combat, just because they are from a different tribe that are in the combat. So they call it blood diamond. They get that money by selling those diamonds. Then they used to buy weapons that they used to create chaos in the country, causing many refugees. So if you are selling diamonds, jewelers, yes, if your company certifies that the diamond that they are buying from, where the company are buying that diamond from, are not buying from Congo. Therefore, they are not supporting the war in Congo. Then customer will now like to patronize your diamond. But if you are not certified, that means you buy a diamond from any source, regardless of what is going on and where they come from. They were, it was a big crusade then, 2009, 2007, 2008, So anyway, I think you get the point. It's all about morals. Okay. So now we can need for ethics in the workplace. So ethics is play a very big role in the workplace because the practice influences the success and sustainability of businesses. Like when a company is involved in unethical behavior, it often tarnishes their reputation, but can also lead to significant financial losses. I'll give you more examples. There are so many examples of that that kind of behavior that made the company to look bad because of unethical practice. Usually, it is some maybe a whistleblower might show up and then blow the whistle and say what is going on in that company. Then you see the government and the regulators step in to do some investigation and figure out what is going on. For example, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners estimated that fraud cost US companies about 5% of their revenues. In 2016, this amounted to 900 billion. That is the kind of damages, punitive damages companies have to pay if it was discovered that some of the things that we're doing in their operations violate the rules of ethics. Nobody can usually, that kind of thing can be going on in the company for years. Nobody can find out, but usually a whistleblower, somebody who doesn't like what is going on, and then decide to, bear the cat, like spill out the whole thing. I'll give you more examples. There was a time, as a matter of fact, recently, Bank of America have similar issue. Let me see if I can pull it out. And I can see how much they are being fried because of our unethical behavior. Let me see if I can pull Bank of America's pro issue out. Okay. I'm gonna pull it out from here. Bank of America in trouble.
Oh, because they was opening like fake accounts under the customer's name.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they was ordered to pay like, it was like over like, I think like $100-something million.
Mm-hmm. It can be as large as that. In trouble again. I didn't put this way. In trouble with regulate. You know that what Bank of America did. Wells Fargo did something like a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They are opening accounts without the customer's consent, fake accounts, and that cost them a lot of money. Yeah, let me see. Based on okay. Let me see. Yeah, it was in news. Okay, look at it right here. The one I found here right now is the one they did in the violation they did in 2014. The one they have now, the one that just came out, I think it is still in court. But see, this one, Bank of America to pay 16.65 billion in historic Justice Department settlements for financial fraud leading up to and during the financial crisis. See, that's the fight they face, because many of these banks, there are some lending practices they did. That's one of the things that caused the mortgage bubble. That time, some banks, their workers were involved. They are loan originators for mortgage for homeowners. They didn't follow certain rules because they are paid for each account they originate. So they tend to close their eye to certain things that they should have used as a guideline or yardstick for rejecting some loan applicants. Instead, they approve it for those who cannot even pay. And when so many people were approved, and while other banks are doing the same thing, eventually the bubble burst, and it led to the financial crisis. And the most recent one is the one I'm looking for. I think, let me put it this way. Bank of America in trouble with regulators again. In financial, let me see, not financial trouble. Okay, good. Let's try this. Yeah, breaking. Just I'll pull it out. I saw it just a few days last week, I believe. I saw it. Okay. Bank of America to pay fine. Let me type it. Let me use this as a search key. Bank of America to pay fine. America to pay fine. Okay. Good. This is too okay. You can see the screen, can you? See? Bank of America is required to pay more than $100 million to customers who were harmed, plus $90 million fine that goes to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau Victim Relief Fund, and another $60 million penalty to the Office of Control of Currency. So when you get a chance, you can, excuse me, when you get a chance, you can read it more elaborately. It's even here too. To pay total of $250 million over junk fees and other issues. See? So those things that they did violate ethical rules. Let's look at what they did here. It says January 11th, Bank of America on Tuesday agreed to pay $250 million in fines and compensation to settle claim the bank systematically double charged customer fees, withheld promised credit card perks, and opened accounts without customer satisfaction. So now they did this and they make money, but at the end of the day, they have to pay. One thing about yes, ma'am.
Can I say something? Tell me why I had an issue with Bank of America earlier this year, and I had ordered some shoes from Foot Locker for my son, and I had wound up getting double charged for it. And according to Foot Locker, they had issued the money back. When I called the bank, you know how they give you the money up front and then they say they'll try to resolve the dispute and they'll decide if you got to pay the money back or not. Tell me why I wound up owing them $500 and something. And I'm like, how do I owe you all that money? And I never even received any shoes or anything. Then when I called back, they tried to make it seem like I never paid the money.
Strange.
Yeah. So now that I'm hearing about this, it's like they probably scammed me. Yeah, so I paid $500 for no reason, never received anything.
So with this kind of a fine or issue, so those customers who are affected, eventually they normally you get an after some time you get after everything is decided, you usually get a mail, something on a mail, telling you that if you are among this so and so, if you are
like a class action lawsuit,
yeah, like that, it's yeah, you get a check like that, and then so you might get something eventually,
but it'd be like $20 after like
after everyone's paid, you get $1.33. Yeah. But oh yeah, this is another thing I was going to tell you. Dang, what was I going to say? All right, so yeah, they didn't give me the money back. Oh yeah, this was another thing which I thought was slick, and I kept telling the girl on the phone this, right? So tell me why I couldn't see the transactions on my end. You know how you could go to the app or go to your online banking statement, you could read what was deducted, what was added. Yes, I couldn't see nothing on there. She was like, oh, I can see everything on my end. I was like, well, that's weird. I can't even see nothing. Like, how can y'all just do that? Why can't I see nothing? I can't see where nothing was deducted, nothing was put back. Like, how can they do that?
So I don't know. I don't really, because I was about to ask you too. So no evidence of $500 leaving your account, no?
On their end, it was evidence, but they said they could see whatever was going on. But on my end, I couldn't see nothing.
Oh, wow. Wait, just in case, if this kind of thing happen again, go to the bank. Go to the bank.
What, instead of calling?
Yeah, instead of calling, go straight to the bank, and see, go how the receipt, whatever it is that you have, that show that there's in a transaction that went on and you didn't get it received. Whatever evidence you will have with you, whether it is an email or paper, just go to the bank and get it. But in any case, the way you explained it, I think you're gonna get one of those mails, like a client, okay, this settlement was done. Yeah,
but on top of that class action, I need my money back. Forget all that.
See, in a class action, in this kind of lawsuit, not everybody got everything they want back, because there are many people affected. So you just go with whatever you gave you and lick your wounds. So that's why in the case like this, just go to the bank. One of the experiences I have when I started working here early in this first, I think it was 2016. Then I was a substitute teacher. I forgot what there was this small magazine then, they call it Penny Saver, that come to the house free. There is a free magazine, not really a magazine, like periodical. You have a list of advertisements, job vacancies, and so many things. I forgot what I applied for. I thought it was like, I forgot exactly what it was, but I didn't know that when I was, they called me on the phone. So the thing they were asking me to, if I'm accept this or not, that I wasn't hearing even though somebody new to the country, and I kept saying yes. So one of the things, after I give them the authorization to withdraw, I think it was $199 from my account, Bank of America account. So that time I was in graduate school too, and I don't have a printer at home. So when I want to print something, I generally go to the library. So when I went to the library, I said, okay, let me use the opportunity to check my check account. And I saw $199 withdrawn. It's like that same day. So I left the library. I was furious. I left the library, went to the bank, and the bank, they were able to put the money back for me. Maybe because it just happened. So they called the number and then they brought it back. Yeah. So it's after that time, I have to read everything, know what is going on before. I mean, it is painstaking, but it saves you a lot of headache by reading those small prints to know exactly what is going on. Then one of my friends, he came from Nigeria. Then he applied for a job in Johns Hopkins. He's a doctor. He's a professor in Nigeria, one of the universities in Nigeria. He applied for this foreign scientist at Johns Hopkins, and then he came. So he was waiting for his family to join him, but before that, he rented an apartment, and then he was seeing all this cable, everything so easy to get. Then I told him that, look, all those things they're offering you, they look nice, but turn the back and read the fine print. So, and he told me that one of his friends told him the same thing too. And when he read the fine print, he shouted, I said, oh my goodness, I will have entered into a big trap. So anyway, but online is that when a company misbehave, and there's a customer complaint about it, or there's a whistleblower that reveal the misconduct, it always bring the regulators in, and the cost the company pays, plus their reputation might suffer as well. That is why ethics is adhering to ethical principles is very good for a company. I don't know if you have had a story of Johnson & Johnson. There was a company called Johnson & Johnson.
Oh yeah, I heard of them, and ever since I heard that the baby powder gives the babies cancer, I'll never in my life support them again in anything.
You see a customer. This is just one customer. Think of many other customers. Now, in the history of a company, there might be a situation where they break some ethical rules. There may also be some situation where they did not break ethical rules. Like the same Johnson & Johnson, there was a time somebody from nowhere, they made this a new form of Tylenol, and it was very popular, for pain medication. But somebody somewhere did something very malicious. They tampered with those Tylenol. That the first group of people that took that Tylenol became sick. So then even the became very serious that they were rushed to emergency. So Tylenol, it was a very big, a scandal. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Tylenol crisis. So Johnson & Johnson did the right thing after that. They recalled all the Tylenol that were affected during that same period. It cost them a lot of money, but it really, when they recall them, they now replace those Tylenol with more, the packaging that is very difficult to tamper with. And there are so many things that the company did to restore confidence in their products. And then people started buying it again. That was before this, the powder scandal came out. Johnson & Johnson, Tylenol crisis. Okay, good. I think that was 1982, I believe. That's a case study. Maybe I should play that. Okay. This should be it. Okay, I think that should be it. All right, let's see.
Shocking unsolved crime number 17 is the Tylenol poisoning scare.
The Tylenol murders was the first time in American history that terrorism actually reached into American homes and showed us how vulnerable we really are.
The nation's trust in its favorite painkiller was about.
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
Out to be destroyed.
On September 29, 1982, a young girl named Mary Kellerman, she was 12 years old, went to her parents' bedroom, complaining that she wasn't feeling very well.
Her parents gave her an extra-strength Tylenol capsule and sent her back to bed. By lunchtime, she was dead. That same day, a 27-year-old woman from nearby Winfield, Illinois, took 2 capsules for a headache. She died within hours. A 27-year-old suburban Chicago man was the next to die, followed quickly by his 19-year-old wife and 25-year-old brother. All 3 family members took capsules from the same bottle of Tylenol.
Several firefighters in the Chicago area were talking about the oddity of these people keeling over, and they detected the fact that all of these people took Tylenol right beforehand.
Authorities looked at the remaining pills in the family's Tylenol bottle and found capsules laced with deadly potassium cyanide.
It was 10,000 times more than the amount that would kill an average person.
Cyanide is a chemical compound which is found in various kinds of industrial products.
It basically shuts down the metabolic machinery of all your cells. You can ingest cyanide and be dead in seconds to minutes.
Meanwhile, the makers of the pain reliever, Johnson & Johnson, issued a recall.
Johnson & Johnson felt that their #1 responsibility was to the consumers, even to the point of withdrawing all of the products from the shelves in the Chicago area, actually nationwide, so that any risk would be removed.
But the death toll kept rising. 7 victims in just 72 hours. Almost from the start, police ruled out a manufacturing problem with the medication.
It was determined, and fairly quickly, that somebody was taking the capsules apart and putting in a small amount of cyanide and putting them back together and then putting them on the shelves.
Ultimately, more than 30 million capsules of Tylenol were recalled, costing Johnson & Johnson an estimated $100 million. The question remained, who could commit such a crime and why?
Sick people commit crimes like this. Some people do it because there's a revenge motive. They're angry at the company. Some people do it for the kicks, to see if they can read their names in the news and know that they got away with it.
After a 6-month investigation, authorities had no viable leads. New tamper-proof packaging was introduced. packaging that is now the norm for almost all forms of consumable products.
To this day, we now have to struggle to open your medications because now they're tamper-proof.
It also led to the 1983 Tylenol bill, which made the tampering of any consumer products a federal offense.
In 1986, after yet another death, Johnson & Johnson stopped manufacturing their products in capsule form.
They then withdrew all capsules and destroyed them. And sometime later came out with what's still on the market today called caplets, but you can't tamper with that the same way that people could tamper with the capsules.
The identity of the Tylenol poisoner still remains a mystery.
So you can see what Johnson & Johnson did. Up to today, customers still reward them because customers trust what they did. They own it up, and they decided that their responsibility first. The first group or the first people that are responsible for are the customers, and it cost them millions of dollars, but they restored confidence in their products. Customers say, "But I buy Tylenol sometimes." People still buy it. It's all over the stores. So had it been that Johnson & Johnson did not do anything, and it was like going back and forth with the authorities, they didn't do any recall. Do you know how much it cost them? It cost them millions of dollars to recall the products and change the packaging. But they have what they have gained from Tylenol alone from 1982 to today, we're talking about billions. Okay, so ethics is really good for business. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. There was this pharmaceutical company they call Merck Pharmaceutical and river blindness story. There was this particular village. I forgot where it was, but the people that live they live very close to the water, and then there is this particular fly that just like you have mosquito, but they call it, I think they call it black fly. It carries the virus, the worm that caused river blindness. This fly, when it bites you, the worm is a small worm, tiny worm, but when it goes into the body, it starts to grow and then multiply. Then it causes this kind of a lot of scratching in your eyes. It was that scratching is so bad that people that live in that area, many of them commit suicide because it's so irritating and scratching, and they eventually, those that didn't commit suicide became blind. They call it river blindness. And there's this particular company, pharmaceutical company that make medication. They call it Merck Pharmaceutical. They made this medication that that medication was used for animals, to deworm animals. Now, one of the doctors there found out that in their lab, found out that this medication, one dose, can clear the body of human being from those worms. But the problem is now because that the cost. Remember, this is a developing country. They can't even afford to pay for that dose, that treatment. Meanwhile, Merck Pharmaceutical is in business to make money for the shareholders. The shareholders didn't send them there to become Santa Claus or to be a non-profit. They need more, so they won't encourage them to make product that will help the community and not make money for them. Anyway, long story short, eventually Merck decided to make the product and give it out free to that community. So now that community and the neighboring community, they rewarded Merck Pharmaceutical. After some years, those that suffer from river blind, those that have that bite from the black fly, who became infected, but they haven't reached the stage of being blind, were treated free of charge by Merck over the years, So, but it brought a very a good name for Merck, that up to today, Merck Pharmaceutical is one of the largest pharmaceutical company in the world. So what they did was ethical, and they were rewarded for years and decades by the people, not only by the people that they help, but also the customers all over the world, seeing them in a good light. Let me see. I think I have that one too. Merck Pharmaceutical and river blindness story. Let me see. Merck Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical and river blindness. Okay. Story. I see. Okay. I hope I have this. I don't see the video here, but okay, river in Africa. Merck. Okay, Merck. Maybe I used the wrong keyword. Let me see if I can get another keyword that will help it. Merck. Okay. Let's try this one. Seeing something different. Well, maybe by the time we have our next class in the school, I will have that. I think this is it right here. Okay, Campbell. Okay, good. I think I found it.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me immense pleasure and pride to be able to welcome you to this lecture this morning. And our lecturer this morning is Professor Bill Campbell. And Professor Campbell is going to be a recipient of an honorary degree from Trinity College tomorrow, but he's also very generously agreed to speak to us.
Okay, we have a chance. You can watch this by yourself. I hope this is it right here. I believe it is the right one, but if it's not, I'm gonna find out where I kept it.
And we had a nice time this morning reminiscing about some of the people that he
let me
from that
exit
time,
here and take you back to the classroom. Okay. So bottom line that Merck was rewarded for helping to treat river blindness in the affected community. And what they did was ethical, and they were rewarded, and they are still part of one of the most lucrative pharmaceutical company in the world because of that. Now we can look at some examples of the cost of unethical behavior. And Enron Corporation. Enron in 2002 before 2002. Enron was one of the largest energy companies in the world, but they were found to be engaging in the widespread accounting scandal and fraud. So the scandal led the company to collapse and lost billions of dollars. Then some of the executive members, the CEO and the CFO, were sent to jail. Yeah. Customers, people lost their money. Now, how about Volkswagen have the emission scandal in 2015? What happened is that many of the some of the vehicles that Volkswagen makes, those that use diesel, were emitting substances. When you drive, they emit substances that will not make them to pass emission tests in US. So, but then Volkswagen engineers, they did something to the software, so that when you take that car to the emission test, the software will start we do some magic, and then the emission, it will pass the emission test. But once you drive out from that government agency that conduct the test, then the software will now reverse again and start emitting toxic substance into the atmosphere. So it was discovered that what was going on. All those cars, diesel cars that Volkswagen made or were making at the time, they are all passing emission tests because of the software that they put in the system that manipulates the test results. So by 2021, Volkswagen was paid out more than $30 billion in fines, penalties, and settlements to various governments, customers, and regulatory agencies worldwide. So there's more. How about Wells Fargo? What Bank of America just did, Wells Fargo did that some years ago. They faced a significant scandal when it was discovered that employees of Wells Fargo created millions of unauthorized accounts to meet targets. So it damaged their reputation. They paid fines, and there are some people at the top who lost their jobs because of that. Yeah. So, which leads us to ethical behavior in the workplace. Now, here are some few examples of ethical behavior, or what is considered to be ethical behavior in the workplace. One of them is obeying the company's rules and regulations. The second one is communicating effectively with colleagues and customers. Treating the customers and your fellow workers the right way, with respect. Taking responsibility for one's actions, being honest and transparent, and then treating others with respect. Any questions so far before I continue? Any question, guys? So, okay, good. No question.
No.
Okay, good. Now, let's take a look at what the government did to stop companies or to discourage them from engaging in activities that are considered unethical or fraudulent. So they came out with a law. They call it the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2022. In some books, they call it SOX Act of 2022. So the Congress passed this law in response to a number of high-profile corporate scandals, including Enron and WorldCom. So these big companies actually went bankrupt because of some unethical conduct their management was doing over the years and hiding it from the public. When the public look at the company, their share stock price is going up, and they think that the company is doing well, but actually the company is not. So the problem that when these companies have this problem went down, many investors lost their money. People who work for them lost their jobs. So to prevent this kind of thing from happening, of course, they can't stop all bad people from doing, but at least to prevent it, reduce the frequency with which this kind of thing happen, they brought out these laws. So Section 2 of this Sarbanes-Oxley Act requires the CEO and the CFO of public companies to certify the accuracy of their company's financial statements. So if any misrepresentation of fraudulent activities are discovered later, then the executive can be held liable for the inaccuracies, potentially facing fine and imprisonment. That means that this particular provision prevented companies from massaging their financial statements. When I say financial statement, I'm referring to the income statements, but their balance sheet and statement of cash flow. So when you see, because by law, they are required to publish those statements to the public so that the public can use it to know how the company is doing financially. So Enron and WorldCom, they were able to hide so many transactions in their financial from the public in their financial statements. And financial analysts and investors make decisions to buy their stock, their shares of Enron and WorldCom by looking at those, depending on the information they got from the financial statements. So that means we are looking at the company's financial statement, but the numbers there are not real. They are massaged to look good. So this provision was meant to prevent the CEO, CFO, or the company from doing that. And if they find out that they did it, they will face jail terms. So when the CFO especially signs, put his signature or her signature on the financial statement, then he or she is certifying that the accuracy of the company's financial statement. And if something is found to be inaccurate, then, and knowing that, and if he knows that or she knows that already before he signed, then he or she might go to jail. So this returns confidence in the financial system, so that when customers are looking at a company financial statement, they believe that this is real, and then they make decisions based on that. Section 4 requires public companies to establish and maintain internal control over financial reporting. And then the next section there, which is 8OC, protects employees who report suspected fraud from retaliation by their employers. So because employers might want to, fire any employee that snitched on the company. The employees see what is going on in the company, that something is not going the right way, that the company is violating some rules. There are some employees who may not be comfortable with that. So if they report to the authorities, that company might fire them. So to protect them from being fired, they made this provision in the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And let me show you. There's a clip on this Sarbanes-Oxley Act that explains a lot of things that we need to know about the act with respect to what the companies are doing. Let me play this short. It's a very short clip.
Are you paying 50% more for the water for your underground lawn sprinkler system that you don't even realize?
Inside America's Boardrooms, the informational show for board members and corporate secretaries. Brought to you with knowledge partners NASDAQ, the Center for Audit Quality, and PwC. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, Donnelly Financial Solutions, and the Society for Corporate Governance.
Welcome to this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter, the CEO of Boardroom Resources, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. Today we're going to be talking about Sarbanes-Oxley, and we're coming up on its 15th anniversary. Yeah, 15 years have already passed since Sarbanes-Oxley. And joining me to talk about this important anniversary is Cindy Fernelli, who is the Executive Director for the Center of Audit Quality. Cindy, welcome back.
Thank you, TK. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
So I know you're as surprised as I am that 15 years has passed. I can remember sitting and talking about the impacts of what this will be, but it's been 15 years. So it was enacted to foster reliable financial reporting, improved audit quality, et cetera, et cetera. So as you reflect back on the 15 years, what do you think have been the primary impacts of Sarbanes-Oxley?
Well, you know, it was a very targeted piece of legislation, but it also was very broad in its scope. So the one thing I would focus in on today, since we're here talking to boards of directors, is the impacts that it had and the obligations that it imposed on boards of directors, particularly mandating that there be an independent audit committee and that independent audit committee oversee the entire financial reporting process. I think that was a big change. I think it brought a lot of confidence into the system by investors. And I think that there were things that followed on to that, like having an audit committee financial expert or else disclosing why you don't. And we have data now that shows that most boards of directors have not one, but more than one audit committee financial expert. So to me, that was a big piece of the legislation that brought about confidence to investors and to the marketplace.
So the CAQ has often expressed support of the value that Sarbanes-Oxley has brought, particularly in the sense of audit quality, okay, which is sort of
in our bailiwick,
your bag, as they say. So share with me why you're so confident that you can make that statement that it's so valued.
Well, obviously, I think that there's been a lot of investment by audit firms and accounting firms, by regulators, by companies and management to foster audit quality and to bring to life the tenets of Sarbanes-Oxley. But it's not just a feeling that I have or a sense that I have. We actually have data that we've acquired over the last 15 years that are indicators of audit quality and that do show that audit quality has improved if you buy that these are indeed indicators of audit quality. So one of them is the number of restatements. Audit Analytics has done independent research and has shown since 2002 the number of financial restatements has declined steadily over the last 15 years. So I take that as a form of audit quality or an indicator of audit quality. We also at the CAQ go out and talk to Main Street investors. So since the CAQ's inception in 2007, we have every year talked to what we call Main Street investors, the men and women on the street who invest in our capital markets. And over that 10-year period, their confidence in audited financial statements, in U.S. publicly traded companies, as well as those who look out for their interests, the independent auditors, is very high and has improved over the last 10 years. So I take that too as solid data or empirical evidence that the investments that regulators, companies, and the audit firms have made is working. And that's all under the guise of Sarbanes-Oxley, some of the reforms that Sarbanes-Oxley imposed upon the system.
Well, I can offer you additional support. In the previous governance work that I did, I remember when the law came out, the board members really did not like it. I mean, we did some surveys, and I think a lot of it was due to 404, the complexity of 404.
Yeah.
But there was like 80% felt that this was really bad legislation and whatever. 5 years later, okay, that number turned around completely. The board members themselves was somewhere close to 70% felt that the legislation was good legislation. I'll bet you if you asked them today, it would be closer to 85. You know?
Well, we asked not board members, but just this past month, we asked CFOs, chief financial officers, specifically about what they felt about 404B, which is often the, as you said, the provision that people cite to as being critical. And 79% of the CFOs that we had an independent consulting firm go out and interview said that they believe Sarbanes-Oxley, specifically 404B, has improved the quality of information in audited financial statements. So
well, there you
are
go.
right, and 82% of financial advisors said the same thing.
Yeah.
So again, another piece of empirical data that shows that it indeed is working.
Yeah, and in the 30,000 feet view, the board members, the legislation reminded board members of their responsibilities. I mean, that's
right.
Really,
it codified it, if
yeah.
you will.
So what is really interesting to note with the time we have left was the vote on Sarbanes-Oxley in the Senate was 99 to 0.
0 to goose egg.
Now, with all that we've seen since the last 15 years, can you imagine, first of all, that there's that bipartisan support, and second of all, the significance of that overwhelming? Do you think we would ever see it?
It's hard to say, and I might also point out that on the House, only 3 of the congressmen voted against it. So on that vote, a total of 522 congresspeople voted and only 3 voted against it. That is remarkable. I can't imagine that happening today. One thing I think is that the legislation was fairly targeted, as we started out talking about. It was a fairly focused piece of legislation, and having spent nearly 30 years in Washington, that's rare that you see a piece of legislation that is very narrow in its scope, so that could be a reason why it enjoyed such bipartisan support.
Remember too, we were off of the front pages with Enron and WorldCom. People were upset.
Confidence was low.
Yeah, legislators knew that this was a no-brainer from a constituency perspective. Okay, but still, even knowing
pretty
that,
remarkable.
Pretty remarkable.
It really
that's
is.
today. Well, as always, I appreciate you stopping in. Again,
so they were just talking about because they focus only on one part of the legislation, the one that have to do with auditing of the financial statement, which is part of it, to make sure that to restore confidence in the financial statements. Because without that confidence, people don't want to invest in the stock market. And the stock market is a very it's a market that where businesses, big businesses go to get when they need capital to invest, they go to the stock market. So if there's no confidence in the stock market, I mean in the financial statements, to making sure that it is well audited and certified that it's all those information, the numbers in the income statement, balance sheet, and statement of cash flow are accurate, then people cannot, if they don't have confidence in that, they cannot use it to make the decision. That means they don't want to, give their money to those companies in the form of investment, and that can cause a lot of big problem to the, financial market. Anyway, there are other aspects of the law because the rate of fraud or massaging of financial statement declined significantly. I mean, it didn't stop completely because as long as you have some people who want to be greedy, there are people that are greedy, people are born every day. There's still gonna be some CEO or CFO that would like to cut corners and make their financial statement look good. But the degree or the frequency with which this kind of thing occurs decline, except what happened in the 2007 and 2008 crisis. That one because it has to do, it's a different thing that caused that crisis, the mortgage bubble. And after that, a series of laws came out again to prevent something similar from happening in the future. But those things are not going away. But it's good that we have laws that will prevent them from occurring, so that the frequency and the degree will be less. Now let's look at U.S. sentencing guidelines for organizations. These guidelines were established to hold companies and businesses accountable for the actions of their employees, even when those actions go against company's policy. So these guidelines were set bring out so that even if your employee did commit a fraud, and there are checks that the company put in place to stop those fraud from being committed, but somebody somehow were able to maneuver and commit the fraud, and that person is working for you, the company is still liable. That is what this sentencing guideline is talking about. So they were brought out to ensure that organizations take proactive measures to prevent unethical behavior within their ranks and promote a culture of compliance. So the U.S. sentencing guidelines for organizations were created in 1991. So, and under that guideline, organizations can be held liable for the criminal acts of its employees, even if the organization did not know about the acts or took steps to prevent them. So because of this, that's why big organizations are very, very careful about some of the statement they make, or they try as much as possible to comply with the law. At least whenever you apply for credit card or apply for loan or apply for anything, any kind of business, you want to do any kind of business with them, then they go through all the requirements. You have to sign so many forms just to make sure that their end is covered, because they can be fried if there's any kind of violation by any of their employees. So the most common offenses that result in organizational liability come under the federal sentencing guidelines, include things like fraud, hazardous waste discharge, tax evasion, antitrust offenses, and food and drug law and food and drug violations. So that means the main goal of this federal sentencing guideline for organization is to deter corporate crime. And the impact is that the main impact of this federal sentencing guideline for organization is that it has influenced the way many organizations, especially the big organizations, the way they operate. Simply put, to reduce their risk of being held liable for a criminal act of their employees, all these big organizations have implemented so many compliance and ethical programs. For example, all of them have, almost all, if you go to their website, you see that they have a code of conduct that sets forth their expectation for ethical behavior. They have training programs that educate their employees about their organization's code of conduct and the risk of violating it. So you will tell, if you are hired, they will tell you upfront what is involved here. They also have a system of reporting and investigating suspected violation of the code of conduct. All this is just to reduce the liabilities on them. Ethics is a very interesting part of the business curriculum. I recommend that you read more about them from your books and from the reading materials that were provided. I think I'm going to let you go now at this point. So read all you can about this business ethics from your reading materials. You can watch videos. There are tons of interesting published materials, both in video form and in a book form or in article form that you can read, and it will help you. Because I also say it because your next paper will be based on ethics. So, any question before we leave?
When can we expect the grades of our paper?
I would say, let me see. Look at mine. Yeah, I would say from next not this Sunday, the Sunday after this Sunday, I should have all of them ready for you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
Nope.
I have some of you wrote volumes. That tells me that the topic, you like the topic, huh? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Whatever you want to hear, sure.
Okay. All right. I see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Right.
Bye, y'all. Be
Good
safe.
night, everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.